Everyone had written off this chapter before it even began. Yet in a matter of seconds, a clutch basket and a steal flipped the night's fate. Indiana didn't just survive. They commanded respect with an 87-85 road win that hit like a statement, the kind that speaks loud without words. When the clock tightens, composure rules. The finish was surgical. Aaliyah Boston coolly secured the lead, and right after, Lexie Hull read the passing lane, stepped in, and sealed the series with hands colder than a December night. The arena fell silent, a twist, a steal, a victory that leaves a mark. Why does this ending matter more than a box score can show? Because in a do-or-die game, on hostile ground, a perfect plan crumbles with a single moment's doubt. Indiana didn't flinch under the noise or the pressure, they turned it into fuel. This first-round format promised balance, a night for each fan base. But nights like this remind you of something simple. Favoritism is worthless if the underdog controls the pulse. No miracles here, just execution, just discipline, just a defense that bites first and asks questions later. Before the chaos, the engine was Kelsey Mitchell. She set the tempo, choosing when to floor it and when to swing the ball to catch a breath. The final quarter, though, demanded something else. Gritty points, fearless shots. Enter Odyssey Sims, the one who scores when the net's on fire. Every time a drought loomed, she landed a timely blow, pumping life back into the team. And when the moment called for a steady hand, Boston didn't just hit the big one. She delivered a complete game, snatching rebounds that shifted possessions, dishing assists that tamed the chaos, and giving the opponent nothing. No turnovers, no hesitation, no mercy. Now, let's talk about Hull. Her 10 points don't tell the story. Her steal does. That leap into the passing lane wasn't blind. It was memory, film study, habit. A defender who thrives on reading first options, disrupting instincts, forcing the opponent to think a half-second longer than they can afford. In tight finishes, a half-second is forever. That's why she was there. That's why she got there first. That's why Indiana celebrated with a play that needs no translation. Loose ball, steady hands, game over. Don't get it twisted. Atlanta fought and had their moments. Jordin, Canada carved angles from under the rim that even baseline photographers miss. And Allisha Gray kept the offense afloat when it started to dull. But closing out face-to-face is different from answering in bursts. Indiana turned the final 2 minutes into a test of decisions, and when they crossed half-court, the Fever's defense melted their rivals' patience. Every passing lane became a trap, every dribble a gamble. This wasn't luck. It was a team turning clutch into routine. Zoom out, and the league's chatter gets louder. The debate over the 1-1-1 format isn't random. Favorites feel a bad night hits twice as hard when travel kills momentum. Flip that, though, and a team that arrives with ball fever defends without giving an inch, rebounds with hunger, and stays unbroken under stress, finds an open lane where others see only chaos. That was Indiana, the grown-up version of "we don't care about the stage." Order, toughness, zero panic. What's headed to the semifinals is a portable brand of basketball. The recipe is clear. First action defended with controlled ferocity. Collective rebounding, Mitchell running the metronome, and Boston sealing the deal from the elbows and low block without coughing up the ball. Add Sims' bursts of shooting and Hull's knack for sparking defensive chaos, and you've got a team built to win when the whistle tightens and the pace thickens. The next opponent will bring size, reputation, and credentials. But in games decided by a single detail, Indiana's already shown they thrive on the edge. There was a sequence that said it all: Boston's soft touch to take the lead, then Hull's hand slamming the door shut. It wasn't chance. It was craft. It was repetition turned instinct. That's how you punish hesitation. That's how you protect a lead. That's how you land an upset that doesn't feel like a fluke but a consequence. The league's learned the hard way. The Fever's pulse doesn't waver when the drums start beating. And it wasn't just about the headliners. It was a team effort. Natasha Howard brought points that breathe life, rebounds that kill second chances, and a presence that forces you to crash into an invisible wall every time you drive the paint. Michaela Onyenwere or Timpson, easy to miss in the box score, showed up in short minutes with long rebounds. Those loose balls in no man's land that decide possessions when legs get heavy. These are the details that don't go viral, but win series. Now the flip side, handling pressure. For Atlanta, playing at home meant expectation, obligation, the unrelenting stare of a crowd that doesn't forgive hesitation. As the score tightened, Indiana turned that energy into static. The home offense started overthinking, and overthinking is the first step to abandoning aggression. That's when the Fever's defense, with crisp switches, timely help, and active hands, struck gold on every lateral pass. In tight finishes, horizontal passes are candy for thieves. Hull sniffed it out. The rest is history. There's another angle you can't ignore. When a team piles up injuries, outside doubts, and media noise, two paths emerge. Either the locker room fractures or the bond hardens. Indiana chose the latter. Without Clark, with players banged up, with opponents convinced their ceiling was low, the group tightened. You saw it in the gestures between possessions, the patience to find the right shot, the rejection of the makeshift hero. This was a triumph of we over me, and those tend to last longer than one night. Let's talk character. Aaliyah Boston played a grown-up's game. Her numbers matter, sure, but what shifts series is the quality of every touch. When she calls for the ball, when she lets it go, how she baits the help defense to open a lane, how she uses her frame to seal rebounds without fouling. Not losing a single ball in that setting isn't just a stat, it's a manifesto of control. If Boston sets that standard in the next series, every rival possession starts uphill. Kelsey Mitchell, meanwhile, read the game's rhythm from the opening tip. Some nights a star pushes the pace out of pride. This was a night of smarts. She set the tone, punished weak matchups, and when the defense shuffled assignments, she didn't fall in love with the dribble. She found the open teammate, flipped the ball to the weak side, and worked the advantage until it became a bucket. That's how you dismantle a defense banking on bursts. Odyssey Sims is the other side of that coin. The guard who steps into a game demanding a hot hand and a cool head. Her spurts weren't fireworks. They were surgical beats. A mid-range jumper to stop the bleeding. A drive that forced the help to collapse. An extra pass born from the respect she commands. That kind of output doesn't make headlines, but it leaves opponents gasping. And of course, Lexie Hull. Her defense isn't built on highlights, but on habit. Tight angles, hands in passing lanes, feet that never cross, and an early read on the offense's first move. That final play wasn't brave luck. It was the payoff of 39+ minutes of sticking to the same fundamentals. When you drill something long enough, the moment finds you. Let's look forward without losing the present. The next matchup will bring stars, storylines, old scores to settle, and bold headlines. There'll be voices claiming tonight was a fluke, that missing pieces make a repeat impossible. Fine, let them talk. Indiana plays better when others write their obituary too soon. Their style travels. Defense, rebounds, ball security, and a closer that doesn't flinch under pressure. That mix wins long series because it doesn't hinge on one hot night. It's built on habits that don't fade. For the quick-hit social media angle, from bucket to lockdown in 7 seconds. The perfect script to show basketball is won as much with the mind as with the wrist. From taking the lead to slamming the door in a single breath. That's how Indiana played. That's the message every whiteboard diagrams with markers and arrows, yet few can execute under the spotlight. One last unavoidable note. Officiating, context, noise, they're always there. But when a team learns to complain less and compete more, those factors fade into the background. Indiana didn't win because of whistles. They won because they mastered the details. Whistles don't touch. They boxed out better, communicated better, chose better. And when you choose better in the final minute, the rest writes itself. The final image doubles as the conclusion. Boston puts up the score with a calm that slices the air. Hull steals with a precision that shatters it, and the team melts into a hug that feels like a vow. This wasn't luck. It wasn't a one-off spark. It was identity. And true identity, once it takes root, doesn't care about venues, road trips, or favorites. It imposes itself. That's the real problem for anyone crossing this team now. Because at the end of the day, titles aren't always hoisted by the flashiest, but by the ones who crumble least when the heat rises. Tonight, Indiana dictated the thermodynamics of basketball. Fewer mistakes, sharper decisions, and a finish so polished, it feels choreographed from silent rehearsals. If the opponent can't match that poise, the story tends to repeat. And we've seen how it sounds when it does. It sounds like the net snapping, hands flashing, and a scoreboard frozen in place. It sounds like the semifinals. If anyone still doubts the word momentum, let them rewind the tape. Again and again, Indiana pushes, holds firm, and when the clock dips to single digits, executes. That's not a trend. That's a method. And a method, when it finds confidence, becomes contagious. That's how long postseason runs begin. That's how teams that rattle anyone are born. That's how you show up, not asking for permission, but walking in and locking the door behind you. In a no-holds-barred summary, there's no hidden magic here, just craft. A basket that defines, a steal that seals, and a group that doesn't compromise its identity. The next series will be another test, but if the script calls for cool heads and steady hands, we already know who studied it best. Indiana didn't come to see what happens, they came to show why it happens. And nights like this are the proof.